Lysander, and we've had technical issues in the past, but today I think we're pretty much good. Although he's looking at the camera and not at me. How are you doing today, Bob?
I'm doing great. Again, I'm looking at a blank screen, so hopefully I'm good hair day.
You definitely are. So what's been going on there? You know, some people out there having a little bit of hope, and some people are starting to get where this is never going to come to an end. You know, what are you seeing in the town, or what are you hearing?
Well, we brought back, as I said last week, we brought back our highway personnel and our parks personnel. The biggest problem for me with bringing them back was I was having a hard time getting the personal protective equipment for them, the mask and the gloves and the sanitizer, which we were able to obtain enough for the time being to bring everybody back. So you'll be seeing the parks crews out and the highway crews out doing their normal maintenance before the season starts, before the roadwork season starts.
That'll be good. It's kind of that sign of things coming to life in the spring when you start seeing those people out. So that's nice.
Now I've been receiving some calls about trucks going through the village. On any state route, Route 48 or Route 370, trucks are allowed to use those routes. Now, some people have said, well, why are we getting more trucks recently? The problem for us is Google Maps or any other type of app is directing trucks from out of town, and they'll always direct them, as you know, if you've ever used those apps, through the shortest route. And sometimes the shortest route is right through the village. And as long as they're on a state route, they are allowed to use those routes because they're a state route. That's what it's for, interstate commerce. So normally, if they've been here before, they'll use 690, they'll use Henkel Boulevard, and they'll use other alternative routes. But the reason you're seeing them now is because they're getting rerouted that way. And some people, and why they're seeing them now, because you're home. If you weren't home today, you wouldn't have seen those vehicles, those trucks come through down Route 370 or down 48. Now that you're home, you're noticing it, but they're allowed to use that. They can't use alternative routes like town routes, any town road or things like that, but they are allowed to use those state routes.
Okay. Cindy Clark said that we're not having any sound, but what I'm going to do, Bob, is I'm going to keep going because I get a recording of this sent back to me, and if for some reason it's an R issue, not a user issue, I can replay it. So it's so important to get the information out there, and I can always send out the video later.
Okay.
I just figured I'd make you aware of that in case people ask you about it. And again, we were having technical issues, so if that's the case, hopefully we can work through it for next week. But at least we can hear each other.
Well, by next week, I should have a camera for my computer, and I'm working on that now. I thought I was going to have it this week, but I'll try and facilitate that for next week so we can work it off the computer instead.
Oh, perfect. Well, we did get a comment from Nina, and she said she's got sound, so we're good. Oh, and Cindy said the sound's back on. So we talked a little bit, and I might jump ahead, but since, as you know, I'm a Cross Lake girl, it's where my camp is. You were saying something about the locks. What's going on with the locks?
Well, I received some information from the Thruway Authority that the locks aren't going to be open. They were supposed to be open on May 15th, and they're not going to be open on May 15th. They didn't really give a date on when they're going to be open, but what happened was they were doing construction. In the wintertime, they do construction on the locks until they open up. Well, because of COVID, they weren't able to do the construction. They had to send their personnel home. So subsequently, some of those locks that would be in the canal system weren't finished on time, and they're still in the process of being repaired. So we'll be able to use, like, I live north of the dam in the village, and I'm on the river. I'll be able to go up to Cross Lake. I'll be able to stop by your house for a little barbecue if you invite me up there, and go down into the Finger Lakes as long as I don't cross a lock. And any place in between the locks you'll be able to use, but you won't be able to go through the locks until they get finished. And they really didn't give a timetable on when they were going to be finished with that.
Okay. Well, that's something maybe you can keep us updated on as you hear it. Just because I think so many people are looking forward to when we can actually get out and do things. But on the water, I don't know if it was the mayor or you last week mentioned the kayaking. That's something that when the weather's nice, that's social distancing when you're on the kayaks, and using the waterways would be something people are looking forward to.
Well, I did have a conversation with the mayor last week, and he did mention that he was going to put in their lawn.
I lost you, Bob.
All right, are we back? I just
Yeah.
received a call.
We are back.
Okay.
There are people
All right.
calling you. I talk to you every Tuesday.
Oh, I put that on. So they are going to, the village is going to install their docks so people will be able to put their kayaks in. So again, I don't think too many people are going over the dam, so they're probably going to be going upstream. I didn't look today to see if it was in, but Mayor Clark did say that they were going to put it in, so I'm sure it'll be in soon. But if people wanted to use their kayaks, they could probably go down to Cooper's. I believe Cooper's is now open. The governor allowed the marinas to be open, so you can probably launch there if you were inclined to do that.
I don't know if you noticed, but Saturday was such a beautiful day. There was quite a bit of people with their boats on the road heading down to the marinas. So hopefully people got out and were able to do that a little bit.
There were a few boats out, and I know my wife was looking outside today. She's actually on leave from her work, and she was thinking about taking out her paddleboard today. So it did look. It's not too bad. I still think if you fall in the river, you might be a little cold.
Well, hopefully if she goes, she will not fall into the river. So what other, are you getting other calls or questions or concerns people are having? Or you've gotten any update from, Albany that maybe we haven't heard or you can explain?
I think I know the people have been watching the county executive. The county executive, and for those of you that haven't, the county executive is coming up with a plan, a regional plan to open up our area, which includes Madison County, Oneida County. I think there's Cayuga County, Oswego County. There's probably 5, 6, or 7 counties that the county executives have been getting together, and they're going to address opening up our region with the governor. And the governor did express some interest in doing that on a regional basis. So even though New York City may not open up as quickly as the rest of the state, hopefully the county executives in these other counties will be able to make some headway with the governor, and we could open up our area a little sooner.
Do you have any idea what they would, or anything in writing where the order of what's essential, like what would open, or do they have any thoughts to that? Because obviously, if it's your pay and it's your livelihood, it might be more essential than what the county would be looking at. Have they given any thoughts about that?
Well, all of them have been talking about opening up on a staggered basis. So they would start opening up some businesses, and they really haven't said what type of businesses. Open up some businesses, and they would have a process. And I haven't seen what they would do, but for instance, what they've done in other states with restaurants is they limit the number of people that can come in. So that's probably what you're going to be seeing. And once they open it up, we'll open up the town as well. And in the town, we're going to have that same type of procedure. We're going to allow people in, but we're only going to allow so many people at a time. So you won't see 20 people in the town building at a time. You might see 3 or 4, and that would be about it. And we're only going to open it up into the lobby area. So I would imagine with restaurants and other businesses, they're going to open it up. They'll open up certain businesses first, see how that works out, then just keep expanding it, because what they're concerned about, it's clear they're concerned that you don't get another spike with the COVID, with people going into the hospitals. Now I know the county executive was on TV yesterday, and I listened to his broadcast, and we'll use Town of Lysander, for instance. We had 27 total people come down with COVID. 17 of them have beat it. They're out of the hospital with only 10 still in the hospital. So we're on the right path, and fewer people are starting to get it, and now people are starting to overcome the sickness and being released from the hospital. And that was consistent with what's going on in the rest of the county. And as long as we keep going like that, I think that they'll loosen up. And I'm only going by what has been broadcast on TV as well. They'll start loosening up the types of businesses that they'll be able to allow people to go in, like gyms and things like that, theaters. I don't know what they're going to do about that because they really haven't come up with a plan. I'm only going by what they've been doing in other states. And I think if it works out in other states, I think this state will be more inclined to start opening up as well.
I was kind of thinking the same, that kind of how they close businesses. You know, you'd see the sign, over 4 weeks ago that said 50% of the seats, they removed them, things like that. I can't help but smile when I think of, for a lot of women, some men, hair salons like that. If they only open up 1 or 2 stalls in a salon, we haven't seen the mob mentality yet, but Bob, that might happen.
I'm telling you, I'm starting to run out of product because I'm using a lot to get on my head of hair, and my hair hasn't been this long since the 80s. But I saw today that in New York City they were allowing people to cut first responders' hair. Well, if they're allowing people to cut first responders' hair, and I think they should. My son's a trooper, and he's starting to look a little shaggy. They should do that, but if they're allowing them, if they think it's safe enough to do first responders, it should be safe enough for the rest of the population. So hopefully they'll take a look at that. And again, those are the type of places where you're probably going to have to make an appointment and go in, and they're only going to allow certain people in, and they're going to spread out a little bit more. But I think that business owners and citizens are conscientious enough to worry about themselves and make sure that they're safe. And certainly business owners and employees of those businesses, they don't want to get sick either. So I think we can work it out. They just have to allow us to do that. I know I've talked to a few small businesses in town, and they lost a lot of their business. They're anxious to open up. So hopefully the county executive can make some headway with the governor. And if you can, I think at least by the 15th, I think you're going to see some movement. That would be my guess, and I'm only guessing, but everything that I've been seeing and I watch these briefings every day, and the things that have come out that I've received from the county, I mean, they're not much more than what other people are getting, but I think that they're leaning towards starting to at least try and open up on a limited basis.
We do have a question from Nina. She's asking how social distancing is going. Are we having a lot of complaints still? Do you think people are getting better with it? So Bob, I'm gonna interrupt for 1 second because I'm getting the static too, and that's what a couple of the people watching are saying. It's real static on your end. So I thought about making up an answer for you. I'm not sure if you guys can tell me if I'm coming in clear, if it was just Bob coming in or not. But I didn't hear any of that. See if you're a little bit clearer now, Bob. Now, one more time. No, nope, it's still, yeah, Johnny says it's not coming through, but I'm fine, which is good because I like to hear myself talk. But well, maybe once we should probably disconnect if we're not getting your information, because that's obviously the valuable information. If you could do me a favor, Bob, when we hang up and just tell me the answer to the social distancing, and then what I can do is type it on the top of the post so people have the answer to that question. So I don't want to push our luck we've been doing pretty good up to this point. So I think you got a lot of really good information out there and shared. I was definitely interested in the lock information and the opening of essential business. So thank you for your time. And again, I apologize for the technical delay, but at least we were able to get that information out today.
Okay.
Good. Bye.